We'll have joining us now Mr. Kenneth Odedeka, the legal practitioner, and also of the legal professionals in Anambra. Thank you for coming on this morning.
It's my pleasure.
There are different components to these elections. You've got the security, you have INEC, politicians, the electorate. 37 people gunning for one seat. This is the highest in this country. What would you say will be key for you in these elections, in the outcome? I mean, how the processes go.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to state that my appearance this morning is on the platform of League of Anambra Professionals. And I need to state right away that we are not apolitical, but we are not partisan. All the people contesting are Anambra people. So whoever wins this election is still going to be an Anambra person to be governor of Anambra State. So it's of interest to us that there's a level playing field for everybody. It's of interest to us that no institution of government goes on to assist, just like Clement said, to deliver a preconceived end. We want people to go and vote for whoever they want, and then whoever emerges as the governor should be acceptable to all of us, Anambra State, and the Anambra. Now, there are some areas that are more difficult to access than others. And in the past, even given my own personal experience, it is in those areas that certain things go wrong.
Yeah.
And then,
what certain things go?
Certain things like inflation of numbers and the usual rigging.
Which areas are this?
The areas that are the riverine areas. And it so happens that some candidates are from there. That does not mean that they will do that. But we're just saying that. I listened to one of the candidates yesterday, Osita Chidoka, when he was talking about some of the things that Clement talked about. If these results were transmitted as they were being got, rather than go to do any form of collation, if they were transmitted electronically as they were being got, and then if as soon as they completed voting, say in a polling unit, all the party agents sign off on them, and you give us the result electronically, it will be difficult for anybody to say, oh, by the time they now got to Oka, what was now 10 became 5, and another one that was 5 became 10.
But are you sure there are no risks attached to that? Because if you have to do real-time transmission of results, something could go wrong in between.
Something like what? We're transmitting now. We're transmitting like people are seeing us now.
For instance, now, if we have got electrical challenges with the transmission equipment, if you have challenges with the receiving equipment, don't you think that perhaps will pose some kind of
first of all,
challenge?
It's only, I'm a Christian, so I believe in God. It's only God that knows everything. So it's only God that can also say this can never happen. Just as you're transmitting now, anything can happen now. But we're saying that, first of all, take care to do what you are supposed to do. Leave the other one that might happen, that could happen. That's not your responsibility. If you've done all you're supposed to do, leave the other one that God should take care of. So if they were to transmit simultaneously, then if my phone cannot receive it, your phone may be able to receive it. And you can now send it to me later. Or when the people start their manipulations, then you can say, no, that's not it. I received this. And if out of 2 million voters in Anambra, and we're more than 2 million people from Anambra, all of them are saying, look, I got this, I got this.
So who should announce the final results?
Naturally, it's usually the REC.
Yeah.
The REC does that. That's the final, like you said, the final result. But if he now starts reeling out numbers, figures that are inconsistent with what every other person has and has received, that means we'll call him to question.
But you know, what we've seen is that much as the law stipulates, in fact, it says, look, you have to, even from what level, begin to paste those results there.
Correct.
But we don't see some of these things happen. And then, even though the law stipulates it, so why do you think these things happen and it doesn't seem to be corrected?
You know, it's unfortunate that I've said that several times on this platform. It's unfortunate that Nigeria's default mode is fraud. And I still maintain that. You see, most of the things that happen in Nigeria because such chaos creates room for people to get enriched or to get their own way. If people were to follow and unfortunately, it is the leaders, and leaders are both executive, legislative, and judicial, that allow for such. I'll tell you a simple thing about even judicial, which is where I operate. You are supposed to pay for service of a court process. You pay for it, and then they don't serve it. You come to court. When I started practice 36 years ago, the judge, when there is no proof of service, the judge will not disturb you, the lawyer. The judge will call for the bailiff. But now, the judge will now ask you, counsel, you should have ensured that your process was served. Why am I supposed to ensure that my process is served? There's an address, I've paid for it. This is even the hallowed judiciary. So, Nigeria is such a place that systems are allowed to go awry so that people can benefit. People can benefit illegally or unlawfully. So, these things are not rocket science, as Chidoka said yesterday. And please, I'm not saying Chidoka that I endorse him. I'm just using because what he said made sense to me.
Yeah. But is that sufficient ground to challenge the process of the election?
If the law says you should do this, I don't do that, what does that mean? It means that if I lose, I could say, well, look, I wouldn't have lost if this happened. Because the law says do this, and I didn't do it.
So why do you think that the INEC, for instance, is not considering the transmission of results real time?
I can only hazard a guess. I don't work for INEC. I'm neither the chairman nor a member of the commission. And it still goes to what I said before. It is either, for some reason, they are not able to give us that contract and get it done. The installation of whatever equipment that they require. It could also be that they are leaving that room so that because a bigger election is coming. Anambra, yes, Anambra is an important state, just like all states are important. Though I know Anambra is more important for certain reasons. And it's from the southeast. Because if you get Anambra, you've got southeast. If you destroy Anambra, you destroy southeast. That is reality. Nobody can actually contest that. Now, a big election, the big election is coming next year. So if I can create this room to manipulate things, to get my way, and people don't raise serious hue and cry, then I can deploy the same effort, the same system to the main thing to achieve a certain aim I want to achieve with that big one. That could be the reason. I'm not saying it is.
Well,
I'm not hazarding a guess.
I'm just wondering, I mean, wouldn't that be tantamount to us going full electronic voting, of which they're still trying to finalize the Electoral Act about electronic voting?
Why don't we do electronic voting?
No, because if they, I'm not sure.
If the law says we should do it, why don't we do it? If the law allows it, why don't we do it?
I know the Senate has passed theirs, but I think the House of Reps, I'm not sure if they finalized.
So if it's not the law yet, then we don't do it. But if we do it, somebody will also challenge all such votes that came through that, and those votes will be nullified.
But do you think that the legislators will allow this to pass and have us to go full, the whole hog in electronic voting?
You see, the legislators are Nigerians. So what applies to A applies to B. So if we say that our default mode is fraud, it applies to them too.
Even though many will argue on that.
They can decide to argue that I'm being very truthful here. You see, you make efforts to try to do the right thing, and you see a whole institution frustrating your effort. And you want to they'll tell, oh, KOP, you can't change the system. Only you can change the system. I'm just giving an example. I'm not saying I'm the only one who wants to change the system. Just do it and let's go get on with life. Because it's easier to, for instance, give a policeman 50 naira and continue driving than spend 5 hours argue over nothing. And so the legislators may also not be in a hurry to pass such things that might affect their own election. Because most times they come to canvass for these votes. When they get there, they ignore and completely forget their constituencies.
So one would want to ask that how much of an amendment of the Electoral Act must we institute to be able to give that direction and authority that perhaps we go the way of immediate transmission?
For instance, we talk about electronic voting. If we amend our act to include that, and it becomes the law, that is acceptable. So you don't say it must be only by electronic voting because of some of the things you had highlighted earlier on. Now, if you say it is allowed, that's part of our system, that means that INEC, pressure can now be put on INEC to ensure that all the relevant structure is put in place to now for us to have seamless voting and transmission of results.